Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to continue looking at formulae. Our first question today is another diagram similar to last lesson. We have a square with area B, a rectangle with base P and height Q, and the total area of the whole shape is A. We need to write down as many formulae that connects A, B, P and Q together. The first thing I'm going to do for this question is to work out the area of the rectangle. Area of a rectangle is the base times by its height, so that would be the base P times the height Q. P times Q we would write as PQ. Now that I know that the area of the rectangle is PQ and I know that the area of the square is B, what would I need to do to those two values to get the total area, which I know is equal to A? If I add this area and this area together, I should get the total area. This means we have a formula of A equals B plus PQ. We now need to try and get another formula. So this time I'm going to get a formula that has B as the subject. How can I try and get the area of the square if I have the total area and the area of the rectangle? Well, the area of the square, which is B, would be the total area, which is A, take away the area of the rectangle. So another formula would be B equals A, take away PQ. We will now get a formula that has PQ as the subject. How can I get the area of the rectangle if I have the total area and the area of the square? This one would be PQ equals A, take away B. I can also now get a formula that has P as the subject. To do this, I'm looking at the formula above it. What would I need to do to get P by itself on this side of the formula? I would have to get rid of the multiply by Q. So what would I need to do to both sides of the formula? We would need to divide both sides of that formula by Q. So if I wanted to get the base of the rectangle by itself, I would have to do the whole area, take away the area of the square, and then divide that by the height of the rectangle. There's one more formula we can get here, and that's making Q the subject. Again, I'm going to use this third formula here because I've nearly got Q isolated by itself. To get Q isolated by itself, I need to get rid of the multiply by P. So to both sides of this formula, I need to divide by P. So our final formula here would be Q equals A take away B all over P. Our next question is going back to rearranging formulae. This formula is slightly more difficult than the formulae we were looking at last lesson. We still want to try and make A the subject of the formula, so we want to isolate A by itself. To do that, we first need to isolate the term that contains A. To isolate 5A, we need to subtract 3B from both sides of the formula. 5A will drop down, plus 3B take away 3B will cancel each other out, the equal sign will drop down, and again, because C and 3B are not like terms, we just write them one after another because they do not simplify. We have not finished in this question yet because we have not isolated A by itself. So now we need to focus on isolating the variable. This means we need to get rid of the multiply by 5 So we're going to divide both sides of the formula by 5. 5a divided by 5 is just a. The equal sign will drop down. And then we have c take away 3b divided by 5. Because I am dividing both c and minus 3b by 5, this needs to be written as a fraction where the divide by 5 is underneath c and minus 3b. So our answer for this question is a equals c minus 3b all over 5. Our next question is making a the subject of the formula 2a plus b squared equals 3bc. Again, we start by isolating the term that contains the variable. To get 2a by itself, we need to subtract b squared from both sides of the formula. The 2a will drop down. The add b squared, take away b squared will cancel. The equal sign will drop down. And now I need to ask myself, is 3bc and b squared like terms? Well, they're not like terms because they have different variables and different powers. So if we subtract them, it does not simplify. So we simply write down 3bc take away b squared. We've still got another step to go. We need to now isolate the variable of a. So we need to get rid of the multiply by 2 by dividing both sides of the formula by 2. 2a divided by 2 is going to leave us with just a. The equal sign is going to drop down. And then we have 3bc take away b squared all being divided by 2. So that is written as a large fraction, like so. So, to make a the subject of the formula, we get a equals 3bc take away b squared all over 2. Our next question is making a the subject of the formula ab plus c equals d. Again, we start by isolating the term that contains the variable that we're interested in. So we need to get rid of the add c by subtracting c from both sides of the formula. ab will drop down. Add c, take away c will cancel. The equal sign drops down, and d take away c is written as d take away c, as they are not like terms. We now need to isolate the variable of a, so we need to get rid of the multiply by b. So we divide both sides by b. ab divided by b is just a. The equal sign drops down. And again, we need to write this as a fraction because we have multiple terms that we're dividing by b. So we have a equals d take away c all over b. On to our final question. We're making a the subject of the formula c take away 2a equals b. We need to start by isolating the term that contains a, and that term is minus 2a. This means we need to get rid of c. This c would be adding on to minus 2a, so we can get rid of c by subtracting c from both sides of the formula. C take away c will cancel each other out. The take away 2a will just drop down. The equal sign will drop down. And then we have b take away c, and because they're not like terms, we just write it out as b take away c. We now need to isolate the variable, which is a, which means I need to get rid of the effect that this minus 2 is having on a. Now this is not a take away 2, but it's a times by minus 2. So the opposite operation of multiplying by minus 2 is dividing by minus 2. minus 2a divided by minus 2 leaves us with a, and the equals sign will drop down. But then we have b take away c, and all of that is being divided by minus 2. So our final answer is a equals b take away c all over minus 2. And that concludes today's lesson on formulae.